Um, Hi, everyone. I am Rebecca Erwin, media specialist, and I'm going to be talking today about one book, The Power of an All-School Read. This is about basically the idea of everybody in a school building reading the same book, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experiences with it and give you some ideas of how you might be able to do it yourself. So again, I am Rebecca Erwin. I'm a media specialist at Perry Middle, which is in Houston County, Georgia. I have been an educator for 17 years. I was an English and reading teacher for 8 years, and now I've been a media specialist for the last 9 years. In 2021, I was named the Bibb County Media Specialist of the Year, and then in 2022, the Middle Georgia Region Media Specialist of the Year. So why one book? What's the purpose of it? And how could you maybe do it? So to me, I think the biggest reason to do a one book program is because it helps to really build community. It's really a neat experience when you have everybody in a school building reading the same book. So they're talking about it, they're interacting with it, having conversations about it. And it's just a really neat experience for both adults and students. Even some of my most prickly teachers, they really enjoyed doing this. And I think for one thing, because it wasn't really an extra thing for them to do. There wasn't any prep that they had to do for it. There wasn't anything they needed to do during it, really. And all they had to do was just read a chapter. And I think from the feedback I was able to get, everybody was so positive about it. So the way that we did it was we did not send the books home. Sometimes you might see that. Sometimes in a school, you might see it where everybody is reading the book on their own time at home. Maybe the idea of families reading the book together. And then at the school building, you have activities and other things that are kind of supplementing and hyping up the book. Well, we decided when we first were going to talk about this that it probably was not going to work to do that. Quite honestly, our students were not reading. We knew that they weren't reading at home. They were barely reading at school. So we felt that this was a way to give them some time to read. I'm a big advocate for that. I think that that's something that needs to happen, that needs to be built into schedules, is for children to be able to have time to read at school. So that was what we decided to do, was we read the book at school. We did it a couple different ways over the number of times that we've done it. The first time we did it at the first 10 minutes of every day during the time that we were reading the first book. But we kind of felt like there may be some problems with that because sometimes there was just kind of pressed for time. 2 of our grades at the time, then they had specials that started right at 8:30, and the time that they would have been starting to read was 8:20, maybe even a little bit after. So it really didn't give them a whole lot of time. Plus, we had another group that they were going into intervention right away and getting pulled. So what we decided to do instead was make it the first 10 minutes of their ELA block. And that way the teacher would kind of have the control to decide what was going to work best in their schedule, and they could still plan for that and still make that part of their ELA, but it wasn't taking time away from other things. And what we would do is basically just have a question of the day. The question would be shared first thing in the morning. We would do that over the announcements, and I would also share out it in writing as well, so the teachers would be able to see it. And sometimes they'd write it on the board, sometimes they would just talk about it and make sure that the students knew what the question was, so they would know what they were listening for as they were reading. And then they would just sit there and read, and the teacher would read the book to the children. For some of our grades, they would have a copy of the book with them. They did not take it home yet. It stayed at school. For our younger students, they really didn't hold the book while they were reading it. The teacher just read it to them, but then they got a copy of it later. And with the question of the day, then we had prizes. So the students would come into the media center and drop off their answers to the questions. And throughout the time that we would do the books, then, I mean, we would get pretty much almost everybody in the building, even some of our kindergarten students, would at least attempt an answer. So I would go through a lot of little tiny slips of paper and pick out a few answers that were correct, and then draw some names that way and give out some prizes. And they were very simple prizes, things that you could get from Scholastic Book Fair, things you could find in the dollar store or in the dollar section at Target. Nothing really spectacular, bookmarks, pencils, things like that. But what I found was that it really wasn't about necessarily winning a certain prize. It was just the idea that their name was called, they were recognized, even if it wasn't their name, but it was another fellow classmate's name. That was something that was really fun for them. So, and I saw, from kindergarten up to the 5th grade, were excited about having their little slip of paper chosen on any given day. So I'll tell you a little bit about kind of how we got to doing the one book program. So I first got the idea for it after reading an article in October of 2018, and I went and talked with my principal about it, and he said, sure, absolutely, go for it. So from there, I just had to figure out, how are we going to get the money? Because, of course, you have to have, the biggest cost is going to be getting the books and being able to have those available to give out to everyone, because my intention was to give them to all of our students, all of our faculty members, basically everybody in our building, our cafeteria workers, our custodians. We even gave them to bus drivers, all of the office staff, the nurse, the secretary, of course, the administration, basically everybody having a book so that everybody could be participating. So it was going to cost. So in January of 2019, we had this group called NAID, National Association for Developmental Education, I believe is what their acronym stands for. And they came to us, and basically we had a relationship through a local college, and they were going to sponsor a school. They usually sponsored a school at their annual conference every year. And so that year they decided to sponsor us. So when we first started talking about it, then my thinking was, I just immediately thought of this because they were looking for something that would kind of help with literacy, with reading, and it immediately just came to my mind. So they were all for it. So basically they sent out the word to their members, and their members started sending in money for the books. Sometimes they would send in money, sometimes they would just send the books directly. So I started getting all these little packages from Amazon, which was really fun to get. We wanted to get copies of the book in both English and Spanish because we have a very high Spanish population. And then in March of 2019 was their annual conference. And so I went there and then got the rest of the books that they had collected. Unfortunately, they did not get as many as they really wanted to. So in May of 2019, sadly, but also happily for us, then our PTO just really basically disbanded, and they had some money left over. So they gave it to us and to the school. And then my principal, he said that all the money was going to go towards getting the rest of the books. So that was able to do it. So then we had the books. So at that point, it was just basically planning how we were going to do the program. The community or the college that we associate with, they're Middle Georgia State University. We have a really great relationship with them. And basically what they've done is they would have interns who would come and be with us during their junior year. And they would teach some lessons, do maybe small groups, but then kind of it would culminate in a literacy event. And in this case, it was going to be in October of 2019. So they took care of essentially launching the book. And it was really neat, the things that they ended up coming up with. The book that we chose was The World According to Humphrey. I basically just did some research about good all school reads for elementary because I was at an elementary school during this time. And I decided that this would be a great book to start with. So we did The World According to Humphrey. And so during this literacy event, which happened to be right around Halloween, I think that year it was on Halloween. And the students came in, and basically in each classroom across the school, then they would do a little lesson. It would be some kind of literacy related lesson, vocabulary, other things like that, that were all related to the book. So a couple of these pictures are showing one of the third grade classrooms where because Humphrey is a hamster who was nocturnal, then they had all the lights were out and they had all these glowy things, and they were talking about what it means to be nocturnal. Another one, then they had a little pet shop set up. They even brought in a hamster, a live hamster, talking about different vocabulary and other words and things that they would encounter during the book, so that way, when students were reading the book, then they would have already had a little bit of that background knowledge built up. So then in November of 2019 is when we actually did the reading. Basically, we read a chapter a day. Humphrey is a fairly short book. It's 15 chapters. So it worked out perfectly for us to be finished with the book before we left for Thanksgiving break. And then we were able to go from there with having the book. Casey, I'm going to pause for a second and get the lights turned back on. So good now. So the one thing that we did was we would pull the students, and they would read the book, during the day, during their class. And we did the reading during the month of November, and it worked out really perfectly that we were able to finish the book before the students left for Thanksgiving. And you see pictures here of students happily holding the little prizes that they earn for getting the correct question of the day. And then at the end of November, before we left for Thanksgiving, then all the students got to take their book home. So it was a lot of fun. It really sparked a lot of interest in the whole Humphrey series, and we had students who were then looking to get those books later, and it just really was a great experience for all of us. Then in, of course, 2020, we didn't end up doing any kind of event because of COVID. Things were just so up in the air, and our university partner, they weren't coming in that year, and it just really didn't work out for us to do any kind of one school read that was the way that we had done it previously with Humphrey. So in January of 2021, for our school, we were all remote. The students were remote. Even most of the staff and faculty were remote during this time. So what I decided to do was record myself reading the book Wish Tree. So I basically just read the book. The students didn't have it, but I read it, and then I shared with the teachers. They would usually do like a little meeting to kind of get themselves ready each day during this time. So they did that during that time. They would play it, and it was a really great opportunity for us to just kind of connect as a school, even though we were all separated physically. Then, thankfully, in fall of 2021, then we were able to do a little bit more of a one book program. It wasn't quite the same, but we were able to, the book that we chose that year was Cleo Edison Oliver, Playground Millionaire. And we did a virtual kickoff. So the students recorded lessons. And I even was able to get a recorded greeting from the author. She personalized it, named our school, named me, and that was a really neat thing for the students to be able to see that. So again, it was the same concept. Once we kind of got through the event, that the teachers would read the book during the first part of ELA, and we did still the question of the day and the prizes. And this time I even included a prize for teachers. I gave them an opportunity to win jeans passes. So they really enjoyed being able to do that, and that kind of encouraged them to participate as well. Then this past school year, in the spring of 2023, we did 8 class pets plus 1 squirrel divided by 1 dog equals chaos. We did this one during the month of April, because April is school library month. This book is pretty short. There's only, I believe it's 11 chapters. So it really didn't take us a whole lot of time. And it was a great chance to just kind of get some reading in before we hit our state testing that started at the end of April. What we ended up doing this year was we were able to have a live in-person kickoff, which was great. And because it's about different class pets, then that was what a lot of the different activities were that the students came up with. They made little clay animals, and some of them were so creative. The students did such a great job with them. They also had little shapes that they made into different animals. There's animals like the pets are turtles and geckos and fish and rabbits and other things like that. So the students really had a good time doing that. And again, it was a way to build some background knowledge so that they would have some of that information inside before they actually started reading the book. So the plans for this coming school year, which I'm no longer at the school, but I'm definitely going to be going to visit on this day, is they're going to be doing an author study of Carmen Agrediti, and she is going to be coming to the school to actually do an author visit during this time. And instead of spending the money on getting a book for every student, they're basically getting books for the classroom, and then the bulk of the money is to bring her in as the author. So let's talk how we can do this. How can you fund it? Because again, it costs money to get the books, of course. So some ideas are PTO. If you have a good, strong PTO, maybe they'd be willing to fund it. Donors Choose is a great way to be able to maybe do that if your school district allows it, to get books. Especially, I would encourage people to come up with what they want to do, and maybe around the holidays, put it together, because a lot of times they'll do maybe like some bonus days, some like double donation days and things like that. So that might be a good time to do that. You could seek out some grants. I did reach out to the university to see if I could get some information on the grants that they use, but I didn't get any information about that. So I apologize. But I know that they did use grants to be able to do what we could do. And then also book fair and first book. So, book fair money, use the profits to be able to get books. And first book is a great resource for Title I schools. And then the link there is readtothem.org. And they came up with the idea in a lot of ways of doing a one book event. And so they have ideas for books you can read, different, depending on grade levels and things like that. They have ideas for events and other resources like that. You can even order books through them as well. So that's just kind of an overview. Hopefully this gave you some good information. Here is where you can connect with me. If you have any questions, you want to get a little bit more information about this, then I would be happy to share what I can with what we have done during these programs. It was just such an amazing thing for our teachers. And like I said at the beginning, I never had any negative feedback. It was always something that was a really positive thing for everyone. So thank you.